The Three Apprentices. There were once 3 apprentices who always agreed to stay together while travelling and always to work in the same town. At one time, however, their masters had no more work to give them. So at last they were in rags and had nothing to live on. Then one of them said, "What shall we do? We cannot stay here any longer. We will travel once more, and if we do not find any work in the town we go to, we will arrange with the innkeeper there that we are to write and tell him where we are staying, so that we can always have news of each other. And then we will separate." And that seemed to be the best to the others as well. They went on their journey, and on the way met a man who was richly dressed, and asked who they were.
"We are apprentices looking for work. Up to this time we have kept together, but if we cannot find anything to do, we are going to separate." "There is no need for that. If you will do what I tell you, you shall not want for gold or for work. No, you shall become great lords and drive in your carriages. If we will not be in danger or get into any trouble, we will certainly do it." "You will not. I have no claim on you."
One of the apprentices had, however, looked at the man's feet, and when he saw that he had a horse's foot and a man's foot, he did not want to have anything to do with him.
"Be easy. I have no plans for you, but for another soul, which is half my own already, and whose measure shall but run full."
As they were now secure, they consented, and the devil told them what he wanted them to do. But for every question they were asked, they had to answer a certain way. The first was to always answer, "All 3 of us." The second was to say, "For money." And the third was to say, "And quite right too." They were always to say this, and one after the other. But they were not allowed to say one word more, and if they disobeyed this order, all their money would disappear at once. But so long as they obeyed it, their pockets would always be full. At the start, the devil at once gave them as much money as they could carry, and told them to go to an inn when they got to the town. They went to the inn, and the innkeeper came to meet them, and asked if they wished for anything to eat.
"All 3 of us. Yes, that is what I mean. For money? Of course. And quite right too. Certainly is right."
Good food and drink were now brought to them, and they were all waited on. After the dinner came the payment, and the innkeeper gave the bill to the one who had said, "All 3 of us?" The second said,
"For money?"
And the third,
"And quite right too. Indeed it is right,"
said the host.
"All 3 pay, and without money I can give nothing."
The apprentices, however, paid more than what had been asked. The other lodgers, who were looking on, said,
"These people must be mad." "Yes, indeed they are," said the host. "They are not very wise."
So they stayed some time in the inn, and said nothing else but "all 3 of us," "for money," and "quite right too." But they saw and knew all that was going on. One day, a great merchant came with a large sum of money, and said to the innkeeper,
Sir Host, take care of my money for me. Here are 3 crazy apprentices who might steal it from me.
The host did as he was asked. As he was carrying the trunk into his room, he felt that it was heavy with gold. He gave the 3 apprentices a room below. But the merchant came upstairs into a separate apartment. When it was midnight, and the host thought that all were asleep, he came with his wife and an axe, and struck the rich merchant dead. After they had murdered him, they went to bed again. When it was day, there was a great outcry. The merchant lay dead in a bed bathed in blood. All the guests ran at once, but the host said,
"These 3 crazy apprentices have done this. It can be no one else."
The innkeeper called them and said to them,
"Have you killed the merchant?" "All 3 of us,"
said the first.
"For money,"
said the second. And the third added,
"And quite right too." "There now, you hear, they confess it themselves."
They were taken to prison and were to be tried. When they saw that things were going so seriously, they were all afraid. But at night, the devil came and said,
"Bear it just 1 day longer, and do not play away your luck. Not 1 hair of your head shall be hurt."
The next morning, they were led to the bar, and the judge asked,
"Are you the murderers?" "All 3 of us." "Why did you kill the merchant?" "For money." "You wicked men, have you no shame of your crime?" "And quite right too. They have confessed and are still stubborn," said the judge. "Lead them to death instantly."
So they were taken out, and the host had to go with them into the circle. When they were taken hold of by the executioner's men, and were just going to be led up to the scaffold, where the headsman was standing with a naked sword, a coachman drawn by 4 blood-red chestnut horses came up suddenly, driving so fast that fire flashed from the stones, and someone made signs from the window with a white handkerchief.
"It's a pardon coming! And pardon, pardon!"
was called from the great carriage also.
"Pardon, pardon!"
was called from the carriage also. The devil stepped out as a very noble gentleman, beautifully dressed.
"You 3 are innocent. You may now speak. Make known what you have seen and heard." "We did not kill the merchant. The murderer is standing there in the circle."
And he pointed to the innkeeper.
"In proof of this, go into his cellar, where many others whom he has killed are still hanging."
The judge sent the executioner's men to the inn, and they found it was as the apprentices had said. When they had informed the judge of this, he caused the innkeeper to be led up, and his head was cut off. Then the devil said to the 3,
"Now I have got the soul which I wanted to have, and you are free, and have money for the rest of your lives."